This is Autoline This Week, the show that gets you inside the global automotive industry. Autoline This Week partnered with the Consulate General of Canada in Detroit to produce this episode.
Hi, I'm McElroy, and welcome to Autoline This Week. Today we're going to be talking about headlamps. Did you know there's actually a shortage? You hear all about the chip shortage. You probably haven't heard about a headlamp shortage. There's also a shortage of engineers to be able to design them. They're probably some of the most important safety pieces on a car today, and there's all kinds of technology coming that's going to change the way that they operate, and that's what today's topic is all about. And I've got three terrific guests who are going to be discussing this, including Klaus Matauschek. He's the head of the development center at Forvia Hella. Wolfgang Huhn is with Driving Vision News, where he's a senior advisor. And Michael Pickholz is with MagWerks Vision. He's a design engineer and is very up to speed on this topic. But Wolfgang, why don't I start with you? My perception is there isn't very many headlamp manufacturers left in this industry anymore. Headlamps are becoming so much more sophisticated, so much more complicated. Is that really the case? Is there a shortage out there right now?
Oh, yes, yeah. I am in Driving Vision News now, but 1.5 years ago, I was for more than 20 years head of Audi lighting and in the development in Ingolstadt, and we saw that coming. So we had a good supplier base, so European suppliers, some US suppliers, and very good Japanese suppliers, and then the Chinese come up. So, but now there is a lot of the market is in a big move. All the tier one suppliers of headlamps, and so they don't have good business now. The car manufacturers have extremely good business, but the tier one, because of all the shortage, they suffer. And so it's completely clear that now mergers and takeovers and acquisitions are happening. What is now happening, market gets smaller, and a lot of things are coming, and they prepare, because in my eyes, the whole front will be the headlamp in future, completely. And if you have in the past or now, you have a bumper supplier, and then you have a headlamp supplier, and you have a grill supplier, and this will merge. And the companies they do that in advance, and they prepare. This is what happens on the market now.
Klaus, you're the perfect example, or work at the perfect example of this consolidation going on in the industry. Hella, of course, was a standalone company for forever, really. Was acquired by Forvia. The new name is Forvia, but same question to you. Do you see this kind of consolidation where there's very limited capacity for headlamps?
Yeah, let's say the current market for sure is not very favorable for us, for the tier ones, especially with a semiconductor shortage. This is making a lot of headache for us and additional efforts. Also affecting us very severely on our profitability. There is no doubt this is throughout the whole industry. But let's say when we are talking about suppliers or lighting suppliers in general, I would say during the last few years, we had even a significant increase, getting additional competition here in the market, especially out of the Chinese region. A lot of new competitors were showing off, and this made the whole story even more tricky. On top, as Wolfgang mentioned before, the complexity is significantly increasing. Yeah, we are seeing a lot of additional challenges, especially for the lighting suppliers, because we are not only anymore focused only on the lighting itself, on the main functions where we had in the past only low beam, high beam. No, with the new intelligent lighting functions, first of all, AFS ADB functions, it was the first step. And now on top, we are having the challenge that we have to integrate further sensors, radar sensors, especially LiDAR, for getting additional functions integrated. which we are not definitely need for the lighting itself, but which are needed for the automotive, from the automotive side, for getting the new, let's say, requirements on autonomous driving or increased autonomous driving. Let's say this way, we are still far away from a complete autonomous driving, but this is now the way, let's say, where we are going to. And by definition, we are forced to take this challenge and integrate them into our headlamp, or let's say in the car front. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And Michael, you're very up to speed on this. Even though the traditional car companies have been buying headlamps forever, it seems like this is a real problem, especially for the startups, the EV startups, and being able to get them. What can you tell us about that?
Correct. The main issue, Wolfgang pointed out, there had been a recent number of mergers and acquisitions that have essentially taken out many of the smaller players that used to be available, people who cater to bus, motorcycle, and other smaller markets. And now you have this emergence of all sorts of new EV companies that did not exist, which are not affiliated traditionally with the existing OEMs. And that's creating all sorts of new customers, while the industry is, as Klaus and Wolfgang indicated, challenged already. And the issue is that you can't put a vehicle on the road without legal lighting. If you do, the consequences are quite dire. So it is a major challenge. And of course, now you have all these new companies doing low volume, by definition, startups, which are not aligned with the large volume manufacturing footprint layout of the traditional tier ones. Something I have experienced personally, and one of the reasons I gravitated towards this new EV market, which is not being served properly. The major manufacturers like Forvia and others, tier ones, are extremely competent, but their resources are limited.
Mm-hmm. This is catching the EV startups by surprise. They just thought, well, we'll design a car and we'll go out and buy the headlamps, and they're finding it's not that easy.
The startups, the EV startups with the small volumes, they are not attractive customers for the tier ones, and all the lighting is something which is very important for the car to shape the brands. And so there is not a standard part you put in like before, a 7-inch round headlamp, and you have your headlamps. This is over, and so you need a lot of development work with you. You are short of engineers, and you make no revenue, no profit. Where do you put your engineers? Of course, to high volumes, so they have a problem, and they have to have something special. And so the Chinese headlamp suppliers come more and more into the game, and they are hungry. They go in the market like Hasco Vision, Xingyu, Mind, and they get more and more able to do something like this, to deliver. And the startups have to have a good lighting and have to do a brand shaping with the lighting. And you see that they do that. And they have problems to find a supplier. And Klaus will be not happy if somebody comes with 50,000 cars over the lifetime.
Absolutely, yeah. This is really the big challenge, as Wolfgang just said. We have limited resources, and as the complexity is growing, this means we are even putting more and more resources on the single headlamps. On the other side, we have the situation in the past. It was the headlamp was more driven into a kind of commodity from the purchasing side, which really drove down significantly the margins. And in the meantime, we are really struggling. In the meantime, to get projects profitable, and this is something which, by definition, also makes then the investments into new headlamps and into new projects a basic decision, because it's deciding about the future of the company finally, because whether you can finance your business in future or not is one of the big topics that you are defining with the right selection of the new project.
You know, it's interesting. I did a show on headlamps. This must go back something like 15 years ago. And the people that I had on the panel then said, look, in the future, there's going to be a real big problem because, and these were older guys, probably, around my age and all. They said, look, we're retiring and the car companies are not doing a good job of preparing a new generation of engineers for headlamps. And as the three of you know, headlamp design is impacted by federal motor vehicle safety standards. The optics can be very complicated. Now designers want all these wild kind of shapes, which makes the complexity even more. But Wolfgang, is that what you've seen, that there is not a new generation of headlamp engineers?
Yeah, this is when I started, is more than 15 years ago. Then I had to do with glass and steel, glass lenses and steel reflectors, and so. And my last what I founded in Audi was a software group caring for the software in the headlamp. And this is so much changing, and this business was so fantastic. I did it all my life because the business changed so much. It was not necessary to change a job. Of course, this is now the problem. We need mechanical engineers. For young people, it is not attractive to go in these old technologies to study this CAD work, and so they all want to do something with IT and software and something like this. And this is the case now. You find old guys like us here, not Klaus, he's younger. They are good in CAD work and all that things. And for the young guys, they all want to do. You find the software things, and the lighting has always this point of safety. The safety is a super important point, but the second point is then the fun functions. So the nice functions, having this sweeping direction indicator, having something which is greetings in the beginning when you switch on, and so this is and then you need a lot of software, and that is what they like. So I found a lot of young people for these functions, and they had fantastic ideas with projections on the road and all that things. Having in the beginning only fun, is only nice to make. Later you can do also safety functions with that, or communication functions if you are allowed to. And this is, of course, it's completely changing now. And the old technologies is really will be more and more problem. Yeah.
Michael, how do you see it? I mean, if I understand it right, you're not a headlamp engineer per se, or lighting engineer. You just sort of picked it up along the way, didn't you? Working on all these things. And how does the industry get a whole new generation of engineers that can work on headlamp design?
I totally agree with Wolfgang. It is a major problem because, again, the software side is now increasingly important, critical, but the mechanical side is still there. You still have to make products that survive multi-years of use and meet all the applicable regulations, so that in addition to the fun, there's also the drudgery of getting the job done. And to your point, yes, I go into, I have been a lighting engineer, but also many other functions within lighting. And my last foray in the automotive industry was for a major tier 1 lighting supplier in the innovations group, working precisely on what Wolfgang just indicated, the camera, and Klaus, the cameras, the sensors, everything else that goes into making the vehicles of the future. And it's extremely complicated. It requires a lot more resources for a single vehicle, exactly what Klaus indicated earlier. So it is a problem.
Klaus, when I was a kid, all cars, every single one had the same kind of headlamp. It was round, it was sealed beam. You could buy them for next to nothing. I remember paying $2 for a headlamp to replace it.
Correct.
Those days are long gone. And as you well know, now headlamps are becoming a critical safety item. And in fact, here in the US, the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety will not give a car its top safety rating, top safety pick plus is what they call it, unless it has superb headlamps. How has this changed your business in that headlamps are now very critical to automakers to try to get that top safety rating?
Yeah, absolutely. This we have seen now since, I would say, almost starting 10 years ago, when IHSS rating was, let's say, implemented, that this became one of the basic requirements. And IHSS good is normally, let's say, more or less has become a standard for all the headlamps that we are doing. What partially is, let's say, not always taken into consideration, all the environments that we are facing. For, let's say, for normal cars, normal sedans, it's not a problem where the mounting height is not exceeding a certain level. But at the very moment, and especially on the truck business, which is also making a majority of the business here in the North American market, by definition, we have just only related to the mounting height a huge discrepancy between what is required on one side and what are the physical boundaries. And this is really something what makes our business, on one side very, very interesting, but on the other side very, very challenging. And it's bringing us also sometimes into real trouble, because by definition, physics you cannot bend.
Right. So what are you saying? As full-size pickup trucks and SUVs get bigger and bigger and bigger, the headlamps are being mounted up too high?
Yeah. This is one of the topics, because we are talking here really about how mounting heights of about more than 3 feet, and this is then really bringing us into trouble, because we have automatically issues with glare by definition.
Wolfgang, we're seeing some very exciting new technology, maybe not so new in Europe, very new in Europe, in the US, what they call adaptive driving beams. Explain the technology a little bit, if you could, and the benefits of it.
Yeah, sure. It's a glare-free high beam. It's just a glare-free high beam. You have a system which consists out of the camera. Very important point is the camera, and then the image processing software, which is then detecting the traffic on the road in front of you, and the lamp itself, the headlamp itself, is producing not one smooth homogeneous beam, but this is divided into segments, and you switch off or dim down this segment where an oncoming driver is coming to you avoid completely the glare. The driver coming in to you sees a low beam. He is not glared, and you see around this car a high beam. And it is you can make it with small number of segments, with 7 or something. Then you have a big area dimmed down where the car is coming. But you can also make it with 100 segments. Then it's very small. Or with the HD, which is now coming, you have with a DMD projector, which was invented by Texas Instruments, and there you can have 1 million of segments, 1 million per headlamp, and then you can really precisely shape this beam that the oncoming and the driver in front of you is really seeing just a low beam, and you have around that a lot of light. So you know that 5-star rating from the NCAP, and the 5-star rating is also rating the headlamps, and you can to a certain seeing distance maximum have 5 points, 5 stars. And so if you have an ADB and you use this calculation method, you have 13 stars, so out of 5. And this is what it describes the view what you have, really the best. This is perfect. So it's really super good.
Yeah, it's amazing technology that the camera can look at oncoming cars, calculate where the driver is sitting in the oncoming car, turn off those segments of light so the driver's not blinded. It's amazing. But Klaus, this technology has been available in Europe and other markets for years right now. It's just this year that the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration in the United States has approved it. Why is it taking so long to get this great technology approved in the U.S.?
Yeah, that's a very good question. To be honest, I'm not really able to give you here a very clear answer. For sure, let's say this technology, if it's not properly applied, is by definition can create glare. Yeah, and for this reason, this was the main obstacle, according to what I have understood, that there was a lot of fear that this glare might generate risks in the traffic, in the normal traffic. And for this reason, how to implement this, how to set this up, how to put this into a regulation took a long time. Also, those guys in the automotive industry, which are, let's say, dealing with this since, tens of years, several decades, they were also starting to get frustrated, and they did not even believe it when it was announced that it will be released. So for this reason, you see, it's really a big surprise. There are still a lot of discussions ongoing how to set it up, because how to implement it, how to measure it, how to get it legal, all these topics are defined now, and there is still some fine-tuning to be done to get it really then into let's say applicable solution, because at the moment the hurdles for putting it into the market are really high. Yeah,
correct. If I could add to that,
please.
Klaus is completely correct. My understanding is that U.S. regulations are what we refer to as objective. They're measures. You measure this and you qualify that. The European approach, which is in many respects more stringent than what is applicable here, is more subjective. You have somebody who interprets, okay, this meets the standard, and then that's signed off. And that's one of the key problems, that how do you measure such millions of parameters that these new headlamps do? I mean, how do you conduct an objective test to say, under every circumstance, this will do this? A simple headlamp's okay. You measure it, it does this, it meets the parameters. Okay, check. With an ADB system, as Wolfgang indicated, there are some of them that have millions of light points that vary all the time as the processor gauges, because it's not just one car coming. It could be one car coming, going, 3 more, 4 more cars, and the cameras, the systems work. They detect all them, and they tailor the light to that. So now you have millions of test conditions. How you translate that to a standard that is simple to understand or measure? It's very, very difficult.
Yeah, Michael, that's a great point. You know, the different approaches to writing regulations. Excellent point there. Wolfgang, I want to go back to something that you said, that in the future, you think the whole front end is going to be essentially one module that incorporates everything. What else do you think is going to be in there? You talked about more software, sensors, and what's your vision of the future of this?
Yeah, the electric cars are coming, and they don't need any big cooling, and so the front will be closed. There is what we need to talk now, and where I want to go is now styling, design, styling. This has a huge influence on lighting. And not always a good influence for the performance of the lights, but this is something which drives innovation and makes the thing interesting. And so also for engineers, we had that young engineers. You have as a young engineer with good idea, I think you have the best chance to meet your top manager, your CEO, your CTO when you are in lighting, because they care, they look for themselves, they come in the light tunnel or into the design studio, and they care for the lighting. And so for people who want to be a bit seen, then I think lighting is really good job. I have seen that a lot. This has positive and negative aspects too.
There's always two coins of the sides of the coin. Yeah.
And coming back to your question, the design and the styling guys, they are driving the lighting really. They push that, and now the trend is super small main modules or hidden main modules, so low beam, high beam, and all that fancy ADB. that should be in the background, nearly not visible, and or coming through a gap or something like this. And this showcase things like the daytime running lamp with a signature, something like this shall be the visible thing on the car. Of course, you have to have a good light, and especially on premium cars, you have to have premium light. But the challenge is to make that premium light out of a slit of 10-15 millimeters, and then Klaus his hair color changed to gray, and this is not easy to make that. And but this will influence the thing. And for the front end, we will have a front blade is where the now this cooler is, and this grill is. This grill will be closed, will be a blade, and this will be full of light. I know projects with 100 LEDs inside and with 450 LEDs inside, every single controllable. So it will be in the beginning, and so it will be really something very visible, very, very good, attractive. Maybe too much, then we'll go back. And then for the level 3, level 4, later level 5 cars, such things can be a communication element.
Very good. Look, I'm afraid we're out of time here. Very interesting discussion. There's problems today, but there's a very bright future, no pun intended there. But yeah. Klaus, Wolfgang, Michael, thank you so much for this discussion. Very interesting what's happening in the headlamp end of the business.
Likewise. Thank you, John.
Thank you very much, John.
Super interesting. Thank you.